Hello and welcome back to Wyoming Watch, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle's weekly podcast. I'm Taylor Staples, your arts and entertainment and features reporter. This week, I spoke with Andrea Shipley, the development director for the American Heart Association in Wyoming, and Carrie Nix, the cardiac and pulmonary rehab manager at Cheyenne Regional Medical Center, about Nix's nomination for Wyoming's first ever Go Red for Women, Women of Impact campaign in tandem with the American Heart Association. Nix was nominated alongside two other Wyoming women, Diane True from Cody and Dr. Amanda De Diego from Casper. Stick around after the interview to get a roundup of this week's events, as well as what's been in the headlines this past week. Now, back to the show. I guess, Carrie, I would just love to know your background. Are you from Cheyenne? How did you get involved with the American Heart Association here?
So I am a Wyoming native. I grew up in Wheatland, Wyoming. After college, landed back in Cheyenne and have been here ever since. So I've been here for almost 15 years. I've worked in cardiac and pulmonary rehab at Cheyenne Regional Medical Center that whole time, in working with heart patients and, being someone who's CPR, ACLS certified for that long. I've been familiar with the American Heart Association through various events and activities over the years. And then this campaign opportunity came up. I received a nomination, and being a woman, a Wyoming native, and someone who works with heart patients, it was just kind of a no-brainer to join this campaign that seeks to improve heart health for women in Wyoming.
Yeah, I'm curious how the nomination process kind of works. Andrea, this might be a question for you too. How does one get nominated, and what's kind of that process like?
The Go Red for Women effort has been going on since 2004. And we have a portal through the AHA website where folks can nominate women who are doing amazing work or share that passion for heart health. And the easiest way for that nomination process to work, Carrie's colleague Amanda Hubbard at CRMC actually nominated her. And this is Wyoming's first ever campaign. And so that's the really exciting part, right? We've got two other women, three total, in Wyoming who are Women of Impact nominees this year. One in Casper, Dr. Amanda De Diego, and also Diane True out of Cody. And so Amanda is the interim dean at the University of Wyoming Casper campus, and also a counselor in the community. Diane actually helped form the diabetes program in the early 2000s for Wyoming, and Diane will be retiring this year.
Nice.
Carrie, of course, who you'll learn more about, has done incredible work for heart health in our community and around the surrounding communities, sharing her passion, whether it's for running, as this year she's running the Boston Marathon, or as a volunteer for Girls on the Run. All of those pieces have sort of collided. And Amanda recognized that Carrie was kind-hearted enough to be one of our first-year candidates, as all of this is a learning process, right? What we know is not a learning process is that rural America is faced with a lot of issues pertaining to heart health, whether that is simply knowing your numbers, and having your own blood pressure cuff, or being able to, check one out at the library, or working with your primary provider to catch heart disease while it's, taking its course. Or, it's knowing your numbers as it pertains to blood sugar and diabetes and all of those cardiovascular impacts that are so critical to identifying and then treating patients before they reach some sort of cardiac event. However, cardiac events do happen, and Carrie can tell you a little bit about the hands-only CPR training that she's involved in, the need for understanding and having access to AEDs in communities, because the survivor rates, if CPR and an AED are used during a cardiac event, go up so substantially. And thinking about Wyoming's landscape, the unique way that we are positioned away from each other geographically, we're large. A lot of folks are working out in the field, whether it's farmers, ranchers, oil field, mining, all of those pieces, daycares, schools, sort of those usual suspects. All of those things are critical for planning and then, implementing and being available for folks when they do have crises.
So, Carrie, what you are nominated for, you're being able to fundraise for Go Red for Wyoming, right? Everything you do, from every event you host and educational talks you'll have, and I'd love to talk more about that.
This Women of Impact campaign is part of the larger Go Red for Women initiative with American Heart Association. And really the goal is to increase education, awareness around heart disease for women, advocate, improve research, and support women in this process, as Andrea explained. So yes, fundraising is a huge part of it, and that's the big goal, but also trying to support all those things: education, advocacy, awareness. So we've been trying to kind of find opportunities within the community to get some education out there. So of course there's information being shared on social media. I've been able to attend a few women's league meetings and provide some education and some fun opportunities there, some training on hands-only CPR, some exercise events. We hosted an event at the Wagon Hound Wine Company last week, and that was really just trying to get more information out there, trying to get the word out to people about heart disease is the number one killer of women, but less than half of women are aware of that. Women's symptoms present differently. We face different life stages that present unique risks for heart disease, like pregnancy and menopause. Women are less likely to receive bystander CPR. So there's a lot of this information we just want to get out to the community as part of the campaign.
And then, Andrea, I know you said this is Wyoming's first ever campaign for this. Why was this kind of the time that felt right to start it? Who kind of brought that into fruition?
The American Heart has launched its Rural at Heart initiatives, and Wyoming is lucky enough to have Dr. Jennifer Connor, who is running those initiatives from American Heart Association. So I think it's a combination of the right leader at the right time. I am also a fourth generation Wyomingite who's been directly impacted by heart health in my own family and during my own pregnancy. And really operating from our place of why we do this work, not how, but why. And it is about providing life-saving access to the care that patients need from cradle to grave for their heart.
100%. And I'm glad you mentioned the word leader, because Carrie, that's kind of something I wanted to ask you. You lead a team of 10. Kind of tell me how they're involved.
As this was kicking off and we were kind of figuring out what it looked like, I was tasked with putting together a team to support the campaign. And I thought, well, that's something I do know how to do, is surround myself with awesome people. So I have a team of 10 women. Many are CRMC employees as well, work in this space. And then others are just community members who care about heart disease for their own personal reasons and are just really great advocates for women in the community. I also have a couple of team members who are located in other parts of the state. So I was able to put together this team of women who's done an awesome job of just bringing their encouragement, their enthusiasm, their advocacy, and come in with great ideas to figure out how we can make this campaign successful.
And then for the campaign, how can people vote/donate?
Points are gained through fundraising and other activities. Fundraising is a big part of that. So of course, that is something that we're asking for support. If people are able and interested to give financially, that would be a great way to support this campaign.
Here's the fun part. Because we have 2 other nominees, there will only be one first ever Wyoming Woman of Impact. We have 3 nominees, but there's only one winner. It's a blind competition. Carrie has no idea, and neither does her team, how much or what the other teams are really doing. So a couple different opportunities to get involved. One is to simply go to this link and join Carrie's team, help her get impact points on a weekly basis, and help her fundraise. 2, make a quick donation that's meaningful. Meaningful means $5 to $10. This is about creating community impact and building that strength and visibility for heart health. Now, don't get me wrong, we would love for a corporation or business to step forward and say, this is of critical importance to our workforce. We would like to make a more meaningful partnership here and figure out how we serve our employees. And we'd like to do that through a gift. So we always encourage that too. The other piece is, as we go forward, there will be more nominees in the future. And like Carrie said, her team has been incredibly supportive and really thoughtful about how they've approached this. Thinking about who's good on your team. If you want to be a nominee in the future, some of those pieces I think is really critical. Other ways to support American Heart, reach out. Let us know what you need.
What are the rest of the events you're doing until April?
This coming Friday, we're going up to Chugwater to do some outreach there. We're going to attend their community dinner and provide some hands-only CPR demonstration and practice for people. As Andrea said, the rural aspect of so many areas in Wyoming is something that's really important. I grew up in a rural area of Wyoming, and so I'm acutely aware of the fact that some of these communities are farther away from emergency resources. And so the more people in each community that are able to respond confidently with hands-only CPR, the better chance of survival people have in the event of a cardiac arrest. So that's something we're doing Friday that I'm really excited about. We're also going to do an event at the Cheyenne Trap and Ski Club coming up, just kind of provide same thing, some resources there and some hands-only CPR training. The hospital's food truck, Craveable, has partnered with us, and they're donating 10% of proceeds towards the campaign through April 9th. So that's been a wonderful opportunity too for people to enjoy delicious food and also support a great cause. So those are kind of the main things we have coming up left.
So the winner is the person of the three of you who fundraises the most. What is kind of that final ceremony going to look like?
Yeah, it'll look different for every community in Wyoming. Like always, because of Wyoming's geographical nature, its small population, we're going to do things differently. And so our celebration for Carrie will look different than the celebration for Dr. DiDiego, which will look different for Diane True. And so we're still in the midst of planning that, but we're excited to figure out what that may look like and how to really drop the balloons from the ceiling.
Last thing I didn't want to forget to ask you, Carrie, was what is your biggest why with all of this?
I'm honored to be nominated and so thrilled to be able to do this kind of work with people who are so skilled and passionate and wonderful. Being in Wyoming, in my home, is important to me, and therefore being involved in the community and anything I can do. I mean, my work here with our heart and lung patients, trying to improve their quality of life, anything I can do to try to improve the health and future for Wyoming is just so important to me. I mean, this is home. I care about the people here. I care about the health of people here. And that's kind of my big why.
Voting for the Women of Impact campaign ends on April 9th, and there will be a celebration for the local winner on April 15th. Now, let's get into the events this week. This list doesn't include any ongoing exhibits or weekly events. Today, March 20th, there are library to business drop-in times from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Laramie County Library on the 3rd floor in the L2B room. Then, there's a behind-the-curtain lunch and learn about Cheyenne Little Theater Player's upcoming production of 1984 from noon to 1 p.m. at the library in the Cottonwood room. Also, the World Ballet Company is coming to the Cheyenne Civic Center at 7 p.m. to perform their rendition of Cinderella, and the monthly Comedy That Cares series returns with comedian Matt Bergman at 7 p.m. at the Metropolitan downtown. On Saturday, March 21st, the morning kicks off with a winter farmers market from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cheyenne Depot Plaza. Then, the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens has their houseplant frenzy from 10 a.m. to noon, and the Kiwanis House in Lions Park is hosting the annual Jackalope Jump starting at 9 a.m. This is also the opening day of the Seed Library from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the library in the Cottonwood room. And tonight, the Cheyenne Chamber Singers will perform Requiem at 7:30 p.m. at the Cheyenne Civic Center. On Sunday, March 22nd, the library is hosting a discussion on 1984 from 2 to 4 p.m. in the Willow Room. On Monday, March 23rd, people can learn how to twist balloons with Alpaca Globo. Times for this will be from 10 a.m. to 10:50 a.m., 11 to 11:50 a.m., and 1 to 1:50 p.m., all at the Laramie County Library in the Cottonwood Room. On Tuesday, March 24th, the library also has 2 Butterfly Pavilion events for kids called Web World and Bug Bites, which will be from 11 to 11:45 a.m. and 1 to 1:45 p.m. respectively. Then there will also be Tuesday Night Book Club at the library from 6 to 7:30 p.m. featuring The Crossroads by C.J. Box and a Meditation in the Mind class from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the library. On Wednesday, March 25th, the Rocky Mountain Raptors will be at the library from 10:15 to 11 a.m. and 11:15 a.m. to noon to talk about birds. And there will be a business book club meeting from noon to 1 p.m. also at the library. Later, the Cheyenne Creativity Center has a Tetra Pak printmaking workshop from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And finally, on Thursday, March 26th, there's a kids workshop with the Master Gardeners from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the library in the Early Literacy Center, as well as a Thankful Thursdays event highlighting the Unaccompanied Students Initiative at 4 p.m. at the Lincoln Way Event Hall. And there's a tarot meetup from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Cheyenne Creativity Center, as well as a true crime book club meeting featuring the book Piercing the Lionheart from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the library. Finally, at night, the Black Jacket Symphony is performing Pink Floyd's The Wall at 7:30 p.m. at the Cheyenne Civic Center. For the full list of events, go to wyomingnews.com/calendar. In the headlines this week, local musician Ty Warner is set to release his new fully instrumental song Connor's Crawl on March 24th. The song was recorded locally at Wyoming Wave Studio and was produced using a nylon string guitar. Next, at the school board meeting this week, Laramie County School District 1 defended their safety decisions last week regarding the windstorms when they decided not to send children home during the event, but they still allowed families to get their kids if they wanted to. They also announced the name and mascot of the new 5th through 6th grade elementary school in the South Triad, Mountain View Elementary. Their mascot will be the Red Dogs. Also, following weeks of high winds, unseasonably dry weather, Laramie County is now officially under Stage 1 fire restrictions. The Laramie County Board of County Commissioners approved the imposition of the restrictions at a meeting on Tuesday. The restrictions went into effect at 8 a.m. Wednesday and will stay in effect until further notice. Laramie County Fire Warden Matt Butler recommended imposing the restrictions after this month's fire warden meeting. Thank you again for tuning into Wyoming Watch. Tune in next week for more local news.